Pokemon ROM hacks and fan games. Fan creations of a Pokemon product which are non-profit and exist solely based on the genuine love for the franchise possessed by the creator. As someone who's been playing them for over 9 years now, I've had my fair share of experience with these fan creations. They on many occasions showcase just how great Pokemon can really be when they aren't held down by any restrictions, while on other occasions,
what is that? What the fuck is that?
Disregarding that, they are very much a breath of fresh air that deserve to have proper videos made about them, showcasing these amazing Pokemon fan games and ROM hacks in all its glory. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Now I'm sure you've already heard of the Pokemon Uraniums, to Prisms, to Reborns, to Rejuvenations, to all of those things, but I'm not gonna be covering any of those today. No, instead, I'm gonna be covering what is, in my eyes, one of the most underrated Pokemon fan games out there that deserve way much more credit, way much more recognition, and way much more praise than it's getting right now, and that, my friends, is none other than Pokemon Legends of the Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Gunner, and with that being said, enough of me rambling on, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Pokemon Legends of the Arena is a fan game that has been in development since 2013 by an individual known as Wacky Turtle. Nice name, I know. At base, this game mainly comprises of Pokemon from Kanto to Sinnoh with certain moves and forms that were introduced in the generations after. The character appearances, tile sets, as well as the battle system are at its entirety from Generation 4, which is something that I always found refreshing. The cast of characters, despite having the exact same appearances as the Generation 4 NPCs, may appear to be a detriment, but actually works in cementing this game's unique flavor, which I'll get into very soon. Now, at first glance, this game may not appear to be anything special, but what truly separates this fan game from the rest is its story and how it makes the most out of all of its assets, creating something that is truly one in a million. Your story begins with you playing from the perspective of a different person named Bryce, who's surrounded by people in red hoods. You're in a stadium full of people, with the upcoming match being broadcasted as you face a Dragon Master named Amon, in what is apparently a rematch. Turns out that you end up losing the battle against him, leading to that said character's exile as per the agreement, with Amon openly stating that it didn't have to be this way. Your story begins 5 years later, with you applying for what is the main focus of this game, the International Pokemon Championship. That's right folks, there are no gyms in this game, but instead a full-scale tournament, with each phase of it happening in different towns, where you essentially keep on going through other contestants, with the final trainer for that phase posing the toughest challenge. Once you're done with that, you get a medal to symbolize you moving on. Your starter of choice is a fully evolved evolution, except Sylveon, which you get depending on your answers that you give in a personality quiz. I managed to get a Jolteon, which was pretty damn awesome. Please ignore the nickname. I played this a long time ago. In terms of the protagonist, turns out that he's not a silent one like in every other Pokemon game, but instead a full-fledged character with a personality that actually interacts with the people that he comes across in his journey. This does mean that you can only play as a male in this game, but after seeing the story and seeing as to how Wacky's the only person working on this project, it makes all the sense to me. But yeah, you apply for the tournament with your energetic young brother named Max, who is essentially the main reason as to why you are even applying for this league in the first place. Eventually, the both of you do end up getting accepted, and this is where all the fun begins. See, while this tournament is every man for himself, with the endless amount of people competing, the organization has made it so that all the competitors are to travel in groups while being led by someone in the next city where the tournament will continue. As a result, you end up interacting with the other competitors in your group throughout the journey, forming actual friendships with the most of them, which makes for a very interesting dynamic, as you never really know when you're gonna have to face them and end their journey, effectively ending your time with them then and there. That isn't the full extent of what happens in this game, however, as just like with every other Pokemon game, trouble is always brewing in this region too. Turns out that Ghost-type Pokemon as a whole are banned in this region, as it's associated with the looming threat known as the Cult of Shadows, which for the record is led by the person that you played as in the very beginning of this game. With their return being imminent, it's up to you and your friends, most of the time, to make sure that things don't end up going out of hand on your quest to be the best. As a character, the protagonist is rather well-rounded in the sense that he is usually sarcastic and more on the chill side, who's pretty much just going along for the ride. His perception of things are also rather realistic too, which makes him far from the usual tropes which writers try to put in their protagonists to make them more relatable and give the player a sense of immersion, which usually falls flat on its face. Yes, I'm talking about you, Corin, you barefooted dipshit! Overall, he's a very enjoyable protagonist to play as and was able to create a lot of fun interactions with his personality and is someone who I found to be really relatable to through the events of the story itself. Now, while I was thrown off by these cast members having literal NPC trainer appearances from Generation 4, it was something that I came to appreciate as the game progressed because Wacky has truly done a wonderful job in characterizing most of them. They each possess distinct personalities that made me invested in all of them, and when it was all said and done, they became their own people. Especially Laura, a character who isn't afraid to be blunt with her thoughts and yet still forms a strong bond with the protagonist, while also possessing an aura of mystery around her, all of which you find out throughout the journey. It just goes to show that no matter what the characters are or what they look like, compelling writing at the end of the day is what truly makes all the difference in the world. That said, the story does start off rather slow, as for the first two phases of the tournament, the focus is on establishing your relationships with your brother and the other cast members, with not so serious events happening in between, which may not be everyone's cup of tea, but for me was something that I didn't mind at all. However, you do end up having a rather vague encounter with the Cult of Shadows shortly after, from which things start to get interesting. Unfortunately, by the time of the third medal, however, things take a completely different turn. To those that don't necessarily want to get spoiled about it and want to experience it all themselves, feel free to skip ahead in the timestamp mentioned right here. From the beginning, your brother Max would always get excited over the prospect of the two of you competing in this tournament. Despite losing to you before then and showing some signs of actual frustration, he brushes it off and continues to maintain that strong bond with you. He would always speak about the two of you making a mark together in this tournament, getting the both of your names out there, and eventually have it all end with the both of you meeting in the finals, and giving everyone a fight of a lifetime. Unfortunately, reality had other plans. Turns out that the final trainer you have to go through for the third medal is none other than your own brother. The both of you end up in a massive state of shock over what's about to happen, realizing that the ideal dream was nothing but a fantasy, and that for one of you, the journey is about to end. Your brother, while being distraught, ends up apologizing and the battle begins. To nobody's shock, you end up winning. And just like that, his journey ends. By your own hands. Not being able to take it, Max immediately runs away. You catch up to him with an equally distraught mind, and in the cold and hard rain, he stares dead in your eyes and says, "You had to win." Turns out that your relationship with your brother is more complex than you once thought, because ever since you both were kids, Max would always get the impression that your parents, or rather your father, would always take your side than his, which eventually built itself into genuine resentment, with the tournament being the last straw. With the next encounter cementing that nothing's been resolved between the two of you, things start to change for the protagonist. Ever since that incident, the reality of the tournament and this entire journey itself starts showing itself to you. Because of how things play out from here, you realize that through every piece of success and glory you're able to achieve, there's always something that makes it bittersweet. Because of it all, you end up wondering if all of this, if everything you're going for is, well, really worth it. However, you never really get that much time to mope about it anyways, as you have constant run-ins with the Cult of Shadows. Now, while most evil teams do make their intentions clear from the get-go and leave it to you to stop them, they are also exceptionally handled in the sense that their purpose always remains vague. With every bit of destructive activity they engage in, you wonder exactly what their endgame is. If anything, each encounter you have with them raises more questions than answers, and just when you think you've got it all figured out, you're thrown another massive curveball. Because of that, my intrigue when playing this game never really wavered. That, and to ensure that you aren't infested with constant negativity because of everything that happens, there are always multiple wholesome and funny events in between that gives you, both as a character and as a player, a sense of release, therefore ensuring that the positive feeling when playing this game remains. At least, that's what it was for me. Now, I'm someone who's played ROM hacks and fan games for many years now, but among all these games, I don't think there's anyone that from a storytelling perspective manages to keep a perfect balance of everything as much as Legends of the Arena. If there's any way to describe this game as a whole, it's the fact that it makes the most out of everything that it has. The cities, routes, and music, while appearing to be very simple at first glance, greatly reinforce one another, which along with the NPC dialogues, makes playing through these parts less tedious and instead enjoyable. The only cons that I should mention, however, would have to be the fact that the wild encounter rates for this game can rather be high at times, and that there are a few areas in this game where you will have to face a lot of trainers. Keyword, few. That, and unfortunately, if your Pokemon do end up getting poisoned, they will end up dying unless you have an antidote at your disposal, so keep that in mind. But so as long as you have repels and enough healing items, especially antidotes and paralyzed heals, you should be A-okay. Overall, I would say that the graphics and the music really do a wonderful job at reinforcing the story that is told, and despite everything that I'm saying right now, is something that you gotta play yourself to fully understand. It has a really enjoyable story, enjoyable areas to explore, fun characters to form friendships with, great comedy that will make you smile like an idiot, mysteries that will keep you guessing and make you want to find out exactly what's happening, and some needed sad moments to give you a unique perspective on the situation you're in, while not being overbearing enough to make you stop playing the game entirely. Unfortunately, this fan game isn't technically finished yet, because if it was, it would be a review. Its current version, however, does very much have a lot of content and ends with you reaching the finals of this whole tournament. So don't you worry about playing a little of this game, because it is far from just that. One thing's for sure though, if there's anything that I can tell you from my heart of hearts, it would have to be the fact that Pokemon Legends of the Arena is a wonderful fan game and is truly a must play. So yeah, that's gonna be all there is to it for this video. I hope you guys managed to find enjoyment out of it, as this was very much something that I wanted to make for a very long time now. Of course, the link to this fan game will most certainly be linked in the description down below, so feel free to check it out if you guys want to. And of course, feel free to also drop a like on this video and let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts on this fan game. Seriously guys, this is very much helpful for this video and will hopefully be something that will help this, like pop off, because I'm not necessarily a big channel just yet. But no, seriously though, I hope you guys managed to find enjoyment out of it. And yeah, with that being said, my name is Davis the Gunner. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a glorious day, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Wish!